Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today my friend Barb has made a big trip. Well, it was 4 to 7 hours. She did a little road trip on the way, and she's going to show us how to make flowers that are very realistic looking. You've seen them in the video before this one. I hope you'll stay tuned. I'll tell you a little bit about her story, and then we'll make some flowers.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sandy. I have been looking forward to coming here
Me
for
too.
more than a year. Hi, I'm Barb. I enjoy making flowers. I have been in the ceramic industry for almost 30 years, but when I lost my arm due to cancer, I decided I had to do something. The cancer came at the same time I had a heart attack, so I was a little bit doubtful as to what was going to happen in my life. But I met a wonderful lady after my amputation who showed me card making. She got me started, and then I went on from there to do flowers.
Her husband Jim makes all kinds of great tools for Barb, and we'll show those along the way too. So Barb and I decided we were going to make this flower, hopefully you can see that really well, out of this color. And the dyes, Barb, where did you say you found those dyes?
I found them online on Etsy. I say things wrong.
That's okay. And then I always, as you know, I always put that information below, so if you guys can't find it in the Etsy shops, then we'll make sure that you can find it from the information below. And then explain how we do this and how many of each and how it works from here.
Well, this is called Foamiran, and it comes from overseas usually. I purchased mine out of Whimsy Stamps in Florida. They're the only ones I know that carry a nice full-size sheet as well as all the colors. And I think there's 19 or 24 colors. I have them all. I just keep forgetting how many. Anyway, it is very, very thin. It is a 0.06 millimeter, which translates to a 0.02 inches. And it's fabulous to work with. It stretches a little bit. Unfortunately, there it goes. It's stretching for me. And when you use it with your dyes, you can layer as much as 6 layers of foam on top of each other per die cut. One of the wonderful things about working with the foam is that you can use anything to do a coloration. This is a light lavender color that we're going to be working with today, and this is the darker lavender that I took a white ink, and I believe it was the Versacolor white, and just very lightly with a dabber touched up the ends. It gives it sort of a little frosted look but no sparkle. You can, if you want, add glitter to it, but that's not something that we did here. What we have in the middle for the stamen is something called frills. I get my frills from a lady whose studio is only about 10 miles from my house, and that is called U.S. Art Quest. They're out of Chelsea, Michigan.
Here's one of my bottles, and it just says glass beads, and I think it's very similar to Barb's. I'll try and get the lid off.
Very similar. Careful.
Yeah, they're going to go all over. So we're going to end up with glass beads everywhere. That's what they look like in the bottle, and I'll put some links below of places you can buy them online, so you don't have to worry about that either.
What I think we're going to do is, number one, we're going to decide what we're going to do with coloration.
Barb likes using inks, so I just have my Memento inks, and you need to have an iron ready because you'll need an iron, and preferably like a travel iron that doesn't have a non-stick. The iron we're using is on, but it's not the greatest, and hopefully you can see this. It's got that non-stick surface. If you have one that doesn't have that non-stick, it's better. And so that's something you want to look for if you're going to do this, is an iron that doesn't have a non-stick. And you'll also need a glue gun with some good glue, not the kind I've been using that's horrible. Those are the things you're going to need. Plus, Barb, can you tell about some of the other tools you'll need?
Well, some of the other tools that you're going to need are the same that you would use if you were doing paper. The one that Sandy just gave us is a very thick, very soft sponge. If you can see, the pressure that I'm putting on it isn't much, and it goes down very well. You will use this after the iron. I find mine over at hardware stores. My best recommendation is to keep it large, because then you have a little room to put your hand on while you're working on it. The other sponge is more for paper.
Okay.
Okay, this is a firmer sponge, and as you can see.
Where do you get that one at?
I buy mine online through Elizabeth Craft Designs. They carry this as well as shaping tools.
I bought mine at a stamp show. Mine are made from McGill, and these are the littler ones that you need for this. And Barb has some wooden ones too.
Wooden, and these are the ones that Susan's Garden out of Elizabeth Craft also carry. If you have old dental tools, that's what this one is in my hand.
Yep.
And I use that a lot, especially when I'm die cutting something and you need a poker to get it out. By luck, I have quite a collection that a friend of mine gave.
That's nice. And then you also have the wooden dowels. Did Jim make those, or did you buy those?
Actually, I bought these, and you can get them, I believe, on Amazon. There's 3 different sizes.
What do they call those?
Oh, ball rollers, ball stylus. They have all sorts of names.
Are they with, like, usually you find these things with clay? Is that where you'd find those?
You can, but if
tools?
you just go to the arts and crafts and write in stylus, S-T-Y-L-U-S,
yes,
it gives you more variety than you can even begin to imagine.
So it brings up the wooden ones.
It brings them up eventually.
Okay, so I think we've shown you most of the tools, and as we go, if we run into a new tool, we'll show them to you. But the coloring mediums that Barb used, she said basically the sky's the limit. Any tool that you would use in mixed media or in card making, you can use for this. You can use pastels, you can use inks, you can use gelatos, you can use, I have art sticks that I used yesterday and I had a lot of fun with. And I showed you the ones we made yesterday in the video I just put up. But these are also things you can use, but Barb is prone to using inks mostly, right?
Mostly, yes.
Okay, I'll give you the inks.
Okay.
And I'm going to try something besides ink so that we have a variety. I think maybe I'll try gelatos, because I haven't played with my gelatos. They're probably dried out by now.
When you're working with your color, you can use any means that is comfortable for you. Some people will use sponges, some will use their finger, some will use dabbers, and some will use those new blending brushes.
So you want to make sure before you do anything else that you don't follow me. You're going to follow Barb. Barb is going to be on the right side of your screen, I'm pretty sure. We cut out, we had round sponges. You're going to want to cut them. I cut some in half, and then I cut some in quarters so that we had a variety of sizes. And that's what Barb recommends you use for these kind of colors that, like gelatos.
Because I only have one hand, it's hard for me to hang on to something and work with it. This is out of a scrap yard. This is a piece of brass rod. My husband cuts them down to sizables that are easy to work with, but yet have enough weight that not everything moves. The other thing that we use these for, we have friends that have Parkinson's, and for them, while they're still going through the process with that disease, it's very hard for them to write anything because the papers are sliding and their hand is shaking. So we have given many of these away to various friends that have unfortunately come down with Parkinson's.
So I'm going to put a little bit of my gelato on my sponge, and if you want it lighter, you can put a little bit of water on it and then take it to your flour. And I'm only doing the ends of my flowers. Barb will go on with what she's doing. She'll tell you her story.
I have a feeling I've just done a little bit of a sample here on the side. This is dark, which I remembered it being. So
it's like a gray color too. It looks kind of gray on.
It does. So I think I'm going to go to the inside and just do the center coming out.
Okay. And
we'll see what happens.
Instead of changing your color. I like that about you.
Well, you make do with what you have.
Exactly.
When I first started playing with the flower making idea, I had been taking classes with a wonderful group of people over in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And yes, that is the right name, Ypsilanti. For 30 years I was involved in the ceramic industry, way back when we had to clean everything ourselves, get those seam lines off. And Jim was right there when I had to go out to do a show or take some special classes. Jim would be right there to teach my class for me.
That's cool. And Barb was editor of Ceramics Magazine.
Actually, that was the title of one of them.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to continue doing this coloring until we've finished all of them, and then we're going to come back because I don't think you want to watch us do this part for 20 more minutes. So we'll come back after we've finished this. So our next step, Barb is going to do hers first. We're going to heat it on the iron. I'm going to have to move the iron in because you know we need to see that bad boy.
Oh, yes.
I'll get my stick under it. You need a skewer or two, and if you have the other kind of iron Barb says that it'll just pop off when it's done, but mine, it just slides off no matter what.
And actually, this is the fun part. This is where you find out how brave you are. You just set that on the iron, like that. Hold it for a few moments. And I'm going to give it just a little more time.
It should start to curl, right?
It should, but it doesn't seem to do that when you're on that type of an iron. I'm going to, because this is warm, which is what you want your foam to be, is just slightly warm. We didn't
get warm enough?
Okay. I think it'll work.
Okay.
Okay. After you do this, I hope you noticed, I folded everything together. Then you try to do as much of an accordion fold as possible. And if any of the pros are watching, don't laugh at me. This is fun with one hand. You crunch it.
And the ends of her tool, or her, what do you call that?
Peony, I think.
Yeah, the outside, she folds it so that this part is the farthest out. Basically, you fold it in half and do kind of like this, right, Barb?
Very good.
And then you do the folding like that, correct?
Right.
And then she squishes it and holds it.
Right. So you can also do just a couple of layers at a time. And what's happening is you're creating heat, which softens the foam a little bit more, and then friction in your hand also gives it a little more heat. So, Sandy, I'm going to recommend that you do yours in quarters. but I'm going to go ahead and redo mine if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Can you hold it for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch, see how everything is just smoothing right back out. Oops. From where I did do some crunching. I'm going to just do that one petal. There we go. Now I can feel the heat on this one.
Good.
So what I'm going to do is just a little bit at a time. Just a quarter. I'm doing 2. And I hope you can see that this is crunching around. Okay, and again you're just folding. Let's see what you can do, Sandy.
All right. I want you to know that when I did this yesterday, mine didn't look like I curled it at all. It looked like I did nothing.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because the next steps that you do, if it doesn't look like it's curled enough, that's okay, because you can make your flower a little bit flatter. I add a lot of what I call personality.
So I'm going to just basically roll each one up into a little ball like that. I'm only going to work one at a time with each hand, maybe. Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm. We're going to do this for every petal in our whole stack. If you can see this looking, we have 2 of each of the layers.
And there's 4 dies.
And there's 4 dies. So we're going to be making this pretty full, which would be more like this one. This is very full. It has 2 layers of each.
Mm-hmm.
This one has 1 layer of each. Both of them are, to me, they look like flowers. Okay.
Barb always comes off, hers are always really, of course she's been doing it for how many years?
I've been using foam now for, I think, a little more than 2 years.
Am I
that
doing
looks
better?
Good. Yes, that looks a lot better.
This one I haven't done
Now
yet.
this is a hard one to get to really crunch. If you look at this one,
mm-hmm.
you can see they're not really crunchy like some of my other flowers.
Mm-hmm. And the more crunchy, the better.
Depending on the look you want. Even though you don't feel that you've got enough crunch on this,
yeah,
you do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, we're not going to make you watch us crunch up all these, but that's exactly what you're going to do with all 8 of them. And then we'll be back as soon as we've crunched all of them. Okay, Barb, what's next?
Okay, now that we have gotten all of this iron process and the squiggles and the twist, and I have to admit, Sandy, number one, I love the color and the color blend, and I love the way it's all standing up.
Thanks.
But now we're going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Mine fell down.
Oh, no.
But you're going to use a very soft sponge. Remember, when you're working with foam, which is soft, you need a soft sponge.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy, I'm going to have you use the larger sponge because
mm-hmm.
it does give you a little more hand rest.
Okay.
This, if it flips over, please forgive me. And I like using my wood, but there are many, many times when I use the metal
mm-hmm.
stylus. This is not okay. So what I do is I go into this and just back and forth, and then I pull
How about if I give
each
you
petal.
the big one so that they can see, you can have room for your hand rest.
Okay. With your petal, you take from the close to the outer edge and pull it in. And you see how it's already cupping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you work on that. And then, excuse me, to add to the cupping and to make it stretch just a little bit, you take it side by side. And it's not doing what I want it to.
Still the other one.
Okay. Go back and forth, and you're widening the petal. Because I only have the one hand, I can't do what I'm going to ask you to do. You're going to take each petal on the side after you do just a little of the smoothing, and you're going to just lightly pull it so that you stretch your flower out.
So the first thing you do is you go from the outer edge in.
Pull it in. And see how it just cupped it right up. So if you want a really full flower, I would suggest doing that part.
And then after I do that, then that's when you want me to do the stretching.
Right.
And you just pull
very gently.
Gently, side to side.
But not at the tip. You do it at what I call the ball of the petal.
The bottom?
Not all the way at the bottom, about midway.
Midway where I was. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But then that got rid of my cupping, or it looks like it got rid of my cupping. Should I recup?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it's just pull it toward you.
What Barb was saying about this bigger sponge is that it allows you to rest your wrist on it. And for people who have wrist strength issues or hand issues, this is a much better tool for me, at least, because I can rest my hand on it. And yesterday after I did this, I'll be honest, my hands were tired. Okay, yesterday I did this backwards and Barb told me that was wrong. If you go from the inner to the outer, that's wrong. Just in case you wondered, because I did that wrong yesterday. And wait till you see what she considered her failure flowers. I mentioned that in the other video that I wasn't going to show you her failures. I wanted her to show them to you so that you could see why she considers them failures. I couldn't figure out why. She showed them to me and explained why she thought they were failures. And I think you'll be like me, going, I don't see the fail, but she's a critic of her own work, as we all are. I think we're all tougher on ourselves than other people are. Okay, I have a question. Now, when you get to the smaller ones, should I be using a smaller stylus?
I would go smaller. Which one are you on?
I'm on the smallest ones, but I was using this one.
I would go to a smaller one, but not that very small.
Not the teenies. Okay.
No. For paper, that smallest one works.
Okay, so I was using this one. Now I'm going to go to this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Try that. And just keep working your way down till you get to one that you're comfortable using.
Well, we wanted to make sure that if you didn't want to find Foamiran, that you'd be able to do it with paper. So after we do this flower, Barb is going to do it all over again, the same flower, only with paper, so you can see exactly what's different when it comes to paper versus foam. And this is not fun foam. Fun foam is way too thick.
Way too thick.
Yeah.
Your standard foam is too thick. This, before you press it into your dye machine, is already 2/10 of an inch thick. It gets thinner the more layers that you put through your dye machine. It gives it more of a realistic feel of a real flower.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that this is so thin and so pretty. Barb's the other thing is the adhesive you use is only hot glue, right, Barb?
When you're using hot glue, now this is my theory, the heat from the glue sort of melts a little bit into the foam. Then when you put the next layer on, it adheres better. Cold glue, you would have to sit here and hold it for quite a while. I tried it the other day. The cold glue does work, but the time involved,
it's not worth it.
For me, it's not worth it.
No.
I get impatient.
Me too.
As Sandy was telling you earlier, when you go to do the lineup on your pieces, you do not want them to sit, no, I can't do it right,
on top of each other.
You don't want this effect. What you do want is to have them crisscrossing on it so that you're filling all the area. It gives you a more a fuller looking flower.
Now this is the same dyes we did, but only one set. There's 4 petals or 4 layers.
4 layers.
This is what we're creating, hopefully 8 layers. And Barb had these little plastic pieces made at her local glass cutter, and I told her that Tim Holtz makes a product called Fragments, and I'm going to show her those when we're done, so she knows she doesn't have to buy any more. You already burned yourself, did you?
No, but I'm well stuck.
Okay, you're adherent.
This is very normal for me.
Okay, so then what do you do next?
What I do here is just make sure that my flour is going to stand up. If I have it on a piece of the plexiglass or any kind of paper form on the bottom, you don't really get to push down that hard.
And then can I use one of the ball stylists to do that to make it?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so then I'm going to do that with mine because my fingernails will make divots in it.
Won't hurt. See how far down I'm going? You can.
I'm
really
doing that too because now I'm copying Barb.
So, now your flower is opening.
There we go. I'm doing everything like Barb today. Okay. So then your next layers.
I do mine largest to small when I'm doing this type of a flower. There are so many wonderful techniques online, on both Facebook and on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, so many of the ladies are from
Russia.
Well, some are from Russia. I have a lady that I watch from Ireland, a couple of them in fact, a couple from England, and one lady from India.
Oh, wow. Barb is really working at a disadvantage because she's working with the crappy glue gun, the glue that I've complained about in just about every video. I still have a ton of those glue sticks left. I got them at AC Moore. I don't know the brand, but trust me, don't buy them.
At this point, I feel like it's getting to be a pretty good flower.
Yeah.
When I was working with the smallest piece and was doing what I called the crunching or scrunching or twisting or give me your money, whatever you want to call it, I found that they really stayed nice and tight. So I'm going to glue these two in the center. I am eliminating one. When I do layers of 6, that really works out great because then I have all sorts of stuff left over. Now this is the fun part when you're going to do that. I don't know if Sandy's going to try to do the same thing or if she's going to open hers up. I'm leaving that up to her.
I'm going to wait and see how yours looks.
Oh, thanks.
Because I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, but I don't know if I can replicate it, which is the problem. Is Barb will make it, it'll look great, and I'll make it, and it'll look like, what's that?
I don't always have good luck. I only show the ones I think that are decent.
Oh, so you're going to put another one in there, or are you going to put the...
I'm going to put this really...
The bigger one in. Oh, the other one. Oh, I forgot you didn't have your crunchy one.
Can you see all those wonderful
strings? I can see your strings, but that's those glue sticks. I told you, they're terrible.
Okay, Sandy, what do you think? Do I need to put anything in the middle?
Well, yours is amazing. I'm going to de-glue gun you because you're in the world of my crap. Beautiful. It's really pretty. All right, I'm gonna replicate hers. By gosh.
Yes, she is, and she's going to do a fantastic job.
Or die trying. That's all we're saying. Okay.
Well, we've already died.
Yeah.
Did you glue the first one?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You're ahead of me.
Yeah, I got bored, and I can't be left on my own for a second because then I get into trouble. I think I'm offsetting.
Look at that! I love the color. Look at that color.
It's frisky. Okay, that's what mine looks like right now.
Oh,
now,
it looks good.
You only used one of the
next to the smallest.
Now, should I be using a smaller stylus than this at this point?
You can use anything that's going to work, but I think that, yeah.
This one.
There you go.
Oh boy.
Okay.
And then I want to use one of these. At least that's what you did. You used only one of your two. And of course, I don't have any glue in there. But luckily I do have some strings. Oh, geez, now I glued this side of my... Oh, why? Why do I always have these problems? There we go. That was a big dollop. All right, now, she skipped one of hers.
Yep.
And went to this one. Now you can put these little ball things in. What do you call those, Barb?
Prills.
Prills. You could put those in, but that's why she did hers all scrunched, and I'm hoping that mine is going to be scrunchy enough. Uh-oh. Ignore that.
That happens.
My flour went overboard.
Let me help.
I'm going to hold that down. Okay.
Sandy, that's beautiful.
Well, I have one more scrunchy to go. Oh, jeez, look at all these. Horrible. Horrible. Now, I will be selling mine on Etsy for $4 million. So if anybody wants to buy it, I might put it on sale for $3,500,000 because, you know, it took me all this time to make it. I don't know, Barb. Mine seemed to just scrunch at the end. Oh, okay. Now, jeez, and there it is. This could be yours for $3,500,000. Obviously, I'm not selling it. It's a beauty. Okay.
Fantastic, Sandy. I'm proud of you.
Well, so this is our first flower. We're going to go away, and then we're going to come back in another video, and Barb is going to make you one out of paper. Same flower, unless you want to try a different flower, and make it out of paper. So that's what we're going to do next. I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.